Hey, welcome everyone from Mondays with Matt. Matt, you're just coming off the pickleball court, it sounds like, and have some learnings from that tied to what we're going to talk about. So just set us up and let's get into the conversation.
Yeah, for the folks that don't know me well, I'm a total pickleball fanatic. Just happened to pick it up about a year and a half ago. If I'm not talking about a higher ed, I'm probably talking about pickleball. And I played in some competitions the past year. It's been fun. And then I hit a wall. Like yesterday, I hit a wall, and a realization hit me that everything that I thought I was doing right, I probably have to reimagine and rethink. And it really comes back to come from a ping pong, ecosystem. I know how to spin the ball, and I know how to put it into different places. And everyone was pretty impressed when I started to pick up pickleball. And it was great because when you played with lesser players, the ping pong skill came in handy. But now that I'm going up against better competition, it doesn't have the same effect.
Hmm.
And so I realized, and I got some advice from others that are saying, hey, you're probably going to need to get rid of that spin because pickleball is all about placement and punching and putting the competitor in a position to react to. And the spin was really kind of hindering me yesterday. And so today I went to the pickleball courts and and I recognized my muscle memory was not there. I had a hard time with that. And I know that's going to be a struggle. I know that I have to get out of my comfort zone. But in order for me to get better, in order for me to reinvent myself, in order to really drive the better pickleball side of me, I have to change. And
Hmm.
immediately I started to recognize in higher ed, there's a lot of muscle memory on an institution-centric run campus. And in order to really become transformational for the students of today, you got to change your muscle memory from institution-centric to a student-centric. But now recognize that's a muscle memory that they have to change.
And
And
it's
that
hard,
was
right? Is your
yeah,
point.
that's going to be really hard because like in pickleball, I thought, hey, I know how to do that. Why should I change it? It works right now for me. Why do I change it?
So what's a couple of examples of institution-centric muscle memory that I may have built in my department or in my role or even at my institution that you want to call our attention to? Give me like maybe two quick examples and maybe we could break one of them down.
Yeah, when we think about institution centric, everything revolves around the policies and procedures and how do you design your campus to manage those policies. So that's a very institution centric thought process. And that's how we've designed all of our softwares since the time the internet came all the way till now. We're seeing a lot of as is of those systems and saying, hey, how do I do what I did last year in there? So there's this institution centric mindset that we need to think about. And the first one is, I would say, is that everyone's focused on, hey, we're student success, we're student first, and then they're doing HR and finance.
Oh,
That,
you mean
that
when it comes to ERP, the first deployment of dollars and resources and human capital and staff and energy goes into HR finance.
yeah,
And
and I
then
think
everyone's burnt out by the time it's student.
yeah, and I think that's what they're used to. So
Right.
so what they're saying is we're gonna go and reimagine our campus through an institution lens. And they'll say, we got to do HR because HR manages those offices. We got to do finance because finance has to manage all the accounting for those students. And then they'll throw
Sure.
in student workers to connect you to, oh, we're doing student, right? And they're really not doing student. And so what happens is, what I realize is their muscle memory is to design what they know and how they know it. And the most easiest thing, and it's what do I need to do to improve my institutional
Operation.
experience,
Yeah.
operational experience. And that's a muscle memory that it's been happening since we adopted technology. Everything has been focused on the institution. Now they'll throw in, the SIS now, we got to update that, or they'll throw in a CRM, or they'll throw an LMS in there, or they'll throw an at-risk product in there. But they're not really focused on the actual student transformation. It's not student first, that's for sure.
So your point being that you can't be student first with muscle memory of institution centric. Something has to break loose, right? You have to have some uncomfortable conversations, or basically re-look at everything through the student centric lens in order to deliver the outcomes you're looking for. I'm realizing, yeah, maybe because we're doing a lot of strategic plans for a lot of schools, drafting them up, getting them ready to get out the door. And one of the big things everyone's focused on is, enrollment, retention, completion, enrollment, retention, completion. But when you look at the last 3 years, 5-year, 10-year trend, nothing's really changed. We bought all the software. We've bought the early warning systems. We've bought the software that's supposed to tell us who the students at risk are. We've done this. We've done it all, but the numbers aren't shifting. So that's your point, right? That's like you being on the court, when was it, earlier today, going, shoot, my game's plateaued. My numbers aren't shifting. The game has changed.
Because that spin that I've been doing isn't working. And if it
Right.
is working, it's only getting me to the numbers that I've always had. Right.
Right. That's the point.
I'm succeeding against lesser competition. And we have the opportunity, and when you're starting to really start competing, and there'll be schools that are going to start competing, and you're going to be spinning when you should be placing, when you should be pushing and driving it different. So when you ask me, give me the examples, in all of those examples, and the reason I brought up HR and finance is because it's all institution-centric mindset. It's the muscle memory that they're all used to. The first thing they want to fix is what they know. And it's let's fix staff. Let's fix, the finance department. Let's fix the at risk. But it's all institution centric. No one's really stopped and said, let's reimagine the admissions office. Let's reimagine how courses are offered for a student. We still are copying pre-term, fall to fall, spring to spring, summer to summer. I mean, 95% of most universities and colleges roll over term by term. And there's no design in anything they're doing, right? So there's a lot of institution-centric strategies, just like my spin was a strategy. And now I recognize, that spin isn't working. Well, if you keep the same thing, you're gonna have the same outcomes.
So I think in closing, the thought for everyone as they hear you think this out loud is, if you're okay with the numbers you're getting, kind of like a week ago, you were fine with your game, right?
Yep.
You were winning, you were moving up in the ranks, you were fine. So if you look at your enrollment, completion, continuation, all that stuff, and your retention numbers, and everything's great, you're fine with the spin game, right? But if you need to break past the plateau, your point is you're not going to break past the plateau just buying more stuff or copying over last year's strategic plan or enrollment strategy. Chances are you're institution centric, you got to get student centric. And that process is a big change. It's a change in people, it's a change in process, it's a change in technology, but it's kind of a holistic transformation, because that's what the stuff we've been working on with schools. I think you've put your finger on it.
Yeah. And I think the one reason is they're so comfortable with how they are doing it, and they're probably a little risk averse, Joe. To be honest with you, my game has to change, and higher ed has to change with AI coming into play. Schools that are doing institution-centric mindsets are going to fail miserably, because what are they going to go do, Joe? They're going to go and spin on the AI to do what they do today better. They're going to have a report that comes out. They're going to do better dashboards. They're going to,
maybe a little bit of predictive analytics or something like that. Just the basics.
The basic. They may have better, HR processes, but it's not.
But will it transform? But will they be willing to transform how advisement is done? Right?
Yeah.
Will they be able to transform with AI how a student even enrolls at a school? Yeah. That's when you're student first. Okay. Great conversation, Matt. I think you've started people thinking. I love the analogy you've given, because I think it's super relatable to people, whether they like pickleball or not. You can kind of see you on the court going, dang it, what's going on? Which is very similar to schools saying, dang it, why is our enrollment strategy not being transformational? Why is our retention numbers stuck? Why aren't we placing more kids in real jobs? It's because chances are you're playing an old spin game, and you need to learn a placement game using your pickleball terminology.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, Joe, overnight I'm not going to change my game. I'm
No,
not going to change it
you're
overnight.
probably going to have to take 2 steps back, right, to take 3 steps forward.
Yeah. So you have to kind of go and drill and learn what those things are. And if you don't drill and figure out what those things are, you're going to continue to struggle because you're not putting the time to say, okay, with AI coming in, what is it that we have to do with it? With new cloud products coming in, how do I take advantage of it? Hey, there's really good pickleball players. Why? Because they're taking advantage of doing things that need to be done, as opposed to taking advantage of what I know and boom, boom, I'm trying to win and I'm not winning against them. I'm hitting a wall. And I think that's the same thing for higher ed. They have to drill. They gotta do these what I call micro strategies around AI, micro strategies around cloud. Like there's opportunities to make cloud better, the AI better, and the experience and engagement better on campuses.
Awesome. Mondays with Matt. Thanks everyone for being on. Matt, thanks, and we'll see you all next week.